Welcome to the DNA show.
DNA? Dude, are we doing a science show?
No, D is for Dennis.
Oh, A is for Andy.
And N is for and?
Oh, man, nerds.
Oh, yeah.
We're nerds, dude.
Yeah. Well, good. Then we can talk about comics and movies and pop culture and sports.
Sports and nerds. Yeah, we're going to make that work.
All right, let's roll.
Cars. Cars.
Well, what kind of cars, Andy?
Not the animated movie by Disney and Pixar, which I will say was a very good movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, Larry.
No, not that. Fictional cars. And what I mean by fictional cars are not made-up cars that never existed and stuff, but your favorite car from a TV show, a movie, a cartoon, and you can have more than one. And I'd love to know, what yours is. So if you have a favorite car from a TV show, not like, oh, I love the like for me, real car, 1970 Dodge Challenger. I love that car. But, and well, that was actually in a movie as well. It was actually featured prominently in a movie as well from the 70s called Vanishing Point, but not my favorite. So I just thought it'd be a fun topic to talk about because I know Dennis is kind of a car guy as well. I've been a car guy since I was a kid. I love muscle cars, collected Matchbox cars. Have a favorite fictional car?
Huh.
So
I do too, and it's funny. I've got one from as a kid, and I've got one from as an adult.
Do you really?
Well, I do. So I'll start with my kid one, and then
all right, yeah. Okay.
So I do enjoy Hong Kong Phooey, by the way. So the Hong Kong Phooey movie.
Oh shit, Hong Kong Phooey.
Yeah. So for any of you out there, it was my favorite of that little era. But my favorite as a kid. There was a Croft Super Show that was out there. It was called Wonderbug.
Yes.
And it was Schlepp car, and it was this old beat-up car, and then the horn would honk, and it'd be like, doo-doo-doo, and it would turn into the Wonderbug, which had, like, blinking eyes in the front. It was kind of like Speed Buggy from the animated.
Oh, my God. So I was going to say, because I never really thought about it as in the kid way as a kid and as an adult. So as a kid, I had one that really sticks to mind, but I'm going to go with two because I love Speed Buggy.
Yep.
Love Speed Buggy. And one of the things I like about Speed Buggy is I love just that style of dune buggy.
Yep.
Which were popular when we were kids. You'd see it. Like I saw a few, being driven around town where I grew up. And I was always like, oh my God, that would be so fun to own. But the cartoon itself with the blinking headlight eyes and and all that stuff. Did you know, little fun fact here, that one of John Byrne, for the non-comic people, John Byrne is a legend in the comic book industry. He made his name and really his big debut. He started working for Charlton Comics and then went to Marvel, and he really blew up at Marvel on the X-Men.
Yep.
And
my favorite run.
Yep.
That
he had a huge run on X-Men, a big run on Fantastic Four, ton of stuff in the industry. So John Byrne's a legend in the industry. One of his first jobs was, it was either Speed Buggy for Charlton Comics or it was Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch.
Oh,
really?
No, I did not know that. But Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch. So there are so many, because that's Hanna-Barbera stuff.
Yeah.
That is classic stuff from there. So, and if you think about it, Hong Kong Phooey, Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch, the Schlepp car. I absolutely love that. That's just classic stuff from our childhood.
Yep, it was Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch. I just wanted to make sure because my memory is not what it used to be. Yep, Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch. Looking at it right now, now I own the issues. He did.
Do you really?
Oh, I had to buy him because I'm a big John Byrne guy. And when I found out he drew, I think, 3 issues of Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch, I was like, I got to get him.
That's
and this
awesome.
was some of his first work in like 74 or 75, I think. And you look at it, and if you're well educated on John Byrne's art, you can tell. Even though it's mostly cars in it, you can tell it's his work.
And the funny thing, just looking at it, and the first thing that comes to my mind is, yeah, you can definitely see his style in it. But I'm looking at that I'm going Love Bug from Disney.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Right,
yeah.
That's exactly what it brings to.
And it's from 1975. So anyhow, Speed Buggy, but my favorite car as a kid was the Flintstones Flintmobile.
Oh, yeah.
I love Fred Flintstone's car. And, on my bookshelf, I have 3 versions of it. I've got a Hot Wheels version, so it's the little small one. I've got another version, which I don't know if it's Corgi or Ertl, which was a toy company, same size, that small 1/64 scale. And then I've got a plastic model, which is, I don't know what scale it would be considered, but it's, it's larger for sure. It's probably about 9-inch wheelbase on it. Now, the only thing I don't like about 2 of the versions, so my favorite version is the Hot Wheels one. And it's because it's the classic 2-seater from the cartoon that Fred and Barney would be going to work in, And then at some point in the cartoon, and then in the live-action movie they did back in the day with John Goodman as Fred and Rick Moranis as Barney,
Yep.
they did a 4-seater.
Yep,
the front
he's got to fit the family.
I know. I hate the 4-seater.
I know.
I just hate it.
But it's necessary.
I get the functionality and why it's necessary, but I like the original where Fred just hopped in, he went over, picked up Barney. But there's something about the Fred Flintstone's car I've always loved. And it cracks me up that it has a steering wheel, because the front wheel, it's 2 wheels. It's just this big ass cylinder. It's like taking a Coke can.
There's nothing to turn.
There's nothing to turn. I mean, there's nothing to turn. The damn car can go straight, and that's it.
Well, it's funny you say that as a kid. So when I was a kid, and then when my kids were little, we took them and we went out to Jellystone Park.
Right.
So when we took our trip out west, we went out to Yellowstone and stuff, and we took a side trip to Jellystone.
I know this is a dumb question. What state was that in?
Well, Jellystone, I think, was, if I remember right, it was Wyoming.
Okay. I want to say Nevada for some reason.
Well, I think there's multiple Jellystones. So we went out there, and they've got Barney's house and Fred's house, and then one of them is the car out there, and I think Fred was driving it per se, and there's the steering wheel, and then you get to sit in it and stuff like that. So I was going on a trip with my niece and nephew, and that's what we were just talking about doing. Like, I got to take you to Jellystone, and then I found out that it looks like it's closed now. So I'm very bummed because, I grew up with the Flintstones. My dad always kind of reminded me of Fred Flintstone. And it was great to go out there and see that and then actually sit in a life-size Flintstone mobile. Your feet go down, your feet become the brake pads and stop you and everything. Yeah, it's really cool. You would have enjoyed it.
I've seen one of the cars full size. It was probably the prop from the movie. I've seen one at a convention, set up. Because
awesome.
at comic conventions, every now and then, they'll bring out another one of my favorite cars. I guess it's hard. So Flintstones is definitely number one. My second favorite from childhood would probably be the original 1966 Batmobile.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was based on a real car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Matter of fact,
I think it was just a concept car. It was never in production, was it?
No, I don't think so. Not the way it was done. The Grand Strand Comic Con in Myrtle Beach, they had the Batmobile, one of the original Batmobiles, at their convention this last year. So, for me, I think it was $5 to sit in it because they had somebody drive. I think she came all the way from Atlanta with a car. In the rain.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, and it was fabulous. So I got pictures of me sitting in the Batmobile. It's got the Bat phone and everything. What an absolutely wonderful job they did of basically recreating it. And it was fun to sit in and play with some of the gadgets. Dude, that is a classic car.
If I remember correctly, you telling me that day when they drove it up the night before, they had to drive it in pouring rain.
Yeah.
And there was no top on that thing.
Or windshield wipers. It does not have windshield. Yeah. So I'm picturing this poor lady driving, because I got to talk to her the next day, and I'm like, what, do you have the glasses with the little windshield wipers on or something? But no, she did. It was enjoyable. A lot of people enjoyed it at the Grand Strand.
I've never sat in one. I've seen it at multiple conventions, and it was based on the Lincoln Futura car, which, I mean, I just look at that car and I'm like, how did that thing not get made into production? I look at some older cars these days, tangent, and I'm just like, bring that stuff back.
Yep.
Because they would sell. And the funny thing is, it was a concept car. So basically, they made concept cars just for the name of going, this is a concept of something that probably would never sell. So we're just going to make a one-off or just a few of them and sell them for high prices or something. And it's a beautiful car. Oh, and I forgot. I actually have 4 of the Flintmobiles because I have the Funko Pop Flintmobile that came with Dino to sit in it. The pet dinosaur.
Yeah, that's nice. I
love that.
We'll
Funko
count that.
Pop. You will count that. That's a 2-seater the way it should be. It's awesome. So I guess if I had a car from a TV show besides the Batmobile
or movie
that I really enjoyed a lot too. Well, once again, I'm looking on my shelf because I collect die-cast cars. Mach 5, man.
Oh yeah,
the Mach 5.
I see what's in there. Speed Racer.
Speed Racer's Mach 5 was just another car with nice clean lines to it, and
I could never argue that. That is just a great car.
Well, Racer X too. I got a smaller Racer X in front of it, you know.
Yep. Well, I see you also have a General Lee, which of course from the TV show
Dukes of Hazzard.
That would be my number 2 adult car. I would say.
Well, so fun fact, that General Lee sitting on my shelf is the one I had that came out when I was a kid watching it. That is the original that I played with as a kid. So it's kind of it's hard to tell from back here, but it's a little dinged up and stuff. But that's the original one. What scale's that? 120 something?
No, probably 132nd.
132nd scale.
Now, does that? I'm assuming you have the Confederate flag. It's the original.
Oh,
General
it's the original
Lee.
General Lee. Yeah,
okay,
from back in the early '80s when the show came.
Because now, if you go out and buy the model kits,
there's no
it's just an orange top, and it's just not the General Lee then.
But so I grew up in Maryland, and a good buddy of mine I went to high school with had it was his car because we were muscleheads back in the day working on cars. And he had a 1969 Charger, except it was black. Yeah. And we drove it to Tennessee. Because him and his family were originally from Tennessee. We took a road trip from Maryland to Tennessee and went by a couple salvage yards that had a couple General Lees sitting in them. In the salvage yards. You know, they were just from the show that were basically put out to pasture, you could say, and just sitting there in the salvage yards. It's kind of sad.
Huh.
So, and then my last one, Dennis, is Starsky and Hutch.
Yep.
Love that Ford Torino.
It's also a iconic car.
So those are mine. Those are if I could own any of those cars, I would say out of the gate, the Flintstone car would be cool to have, but not practical because honestly I couldn't take it anywhere because my feet aren't that powerful. I got skinny legs. I'd probably go with the Ford Torino.
Ford Torino.
I would probably go with the Starsky and Hutch Ford Torino. I think driving that sucker around town would be cool.
Well, mine is hands down the 1977 to 1979 black and gold Trans Am. Smokey and the Bandit, Burt Reynolds Trans Am.
That's a Firebird, technically.
It's a Trans Am Firebird.
Trans Am Firebird.
That's right. And hands down, my favorite car of all time. My wife already knows. The problem is I'm terrible as being a mechanic. So if I buy one, I have to upkeep it, which means I'd have to fix it myself, and there's just no way. So
if you buy one in good enough shape, there's not much upkeep to do except an oil change.
No, because those cars were notorious for breaking down all the time. And I'm just not that good to say. My hope is one day, GM, if you're listening, that you do bring back some of the Pontiac brands, you know, since the Hummer's coming back. really need to bring back a Trans Am to compete with. I know you got the Camaro and the Corvette, or give it to somebody else. I really want a Trans
Pontiac's
Am.
gone, which was a shame that they ditched Pontiac.
I know.
I mean, it would be cool if they brought it back, but they'd have to, like, I like the Camaro that they brought back.
Yeah.
It's a little boxy for me. I think Dodge did a better job with the Challenger, keeping it a little more low profile and sleek looking like their original Dodge Challenger. The Camaro is a little thick looking. I mean, it's still cool. I'd love to have seen if they would have brought back the fastback version, though, and not just the coupe.
Yep.
That would have been cool. I do like that car, though, as well. The Firebird Trans Am with the honeycomb wheels.
Oh, yeah. You know, and like I said, the version from Smokey and the Bandit, and yes, 2 and 3, but not as good at movies. It's just an iconic version. Absolutely love it. The one that came out right after it was the Knight Rider version, you know, which I think came out in like 82.
That was like 82.
Also
83.
love that one.
That's a nice one.
But that Firebird from the Smokey and the Bandit is hands down my favorite. Now, I was going to say another one that I really did like that was based off the real. Remember the Green Hornet?
Oh, yeah.
So,
what car was that? What was that?
So the Green Hornet was actually Chrysler Imperial Crown.
But that was a car that people could buy, right?
Yeah, and it was a cool car, and you know, I remember it having the suicide, and I always liked it. But when Smokey and the Bandit came out, that black and gold Trans Am with T-tops, so it has to have T-tops. I absolutely love that car.
Now, you know, I just thought of this. The Pontiac, when they designed that car, they put a Firebird on the hood, but then they give it honeycomb, which relate to bees, for the wheels. They just couldn't settle. Do we want to go insect? Do we want to go bird?
It's all
we
the
don't
above.
know.
It doesn't matter.
And I'm curious.
It worked.
What car, because I assume it had to be some type of iconic car, did Burt drive in Cannonball Run? Do you remember?
Wow,
I
I don't know off the top of my head because I have not seen Cannonball Run in a lot of years. Although the records were just shattered multiple times with the COVID-19 lockdown. So go Cannonball! We might have to bring that up for a title at some point.
I would, man. Yeah, if I could do a cross country Cannonball Run, I would do it in a second.
It would be fun. So we're sitting here talking about the Trans Am. And I picked up I started reading my comic books. And then Marauders #9. So I was getting caught up on all my X-Men, X-Title stuff. And then what an interesting issue. Marauders #9 came out. And it was kind of like a Pyro dream sequence. And then I'm like, wow, this is an interesting start of a story. And then inside the page, my socks were completely knocked off.
So wait, that car you like is a dream sequence? Was a dream sequence?
Well, yeah, it wound up being where all of a sudden there's a cut scene and Pyro hears, I was hoping that you could give me a ride. Scene cut, there is Jean Grey, which everybody knows is my favorite character in all of comic books.
Oh, yeah.
Laying on top is her Miss Marvel outfit.
Yep, from her original.
Correct.
Her first costume.
Yep. And her long red hair is going down. She's laying on the top of that Trans Am, the black and gold Trans Am, with the honeycomb wheels and everything. The T-tops, it is the Smokey and the Bandit car. And I went, whoa. Everybody knows I've collected the X-Men literally my entire life.
He called his wife into the room and said, pinch me so I'm not dreaming.
Literally. And then the only difference is the license plate, instead of Band 1, which is Smokey and the Bandit, it's KRK04 because they're on Krakow, which is the
island.
Right. So I was like, oh my gosh, I am just in love with that picture. So, of course, I mentioned it to Andy, and I was like, hey. So I had to find the artist, and he's from Italy, Matteo Lalli.
Yeah.
And I wound up just emailing him just to letting him know I so appreciate this panel. Out of 42 years of collecting, out of all my favorite stuff, hands down, with all the X titles, that is probably my favorite X panel of all time, just because of that. And I just had to let him know how much I truly appreciated the art that he did on this. And
you
it's
know what?
gorgeous
You should ask
looking.
him if it was written in the script or if he could pick any car he wanted.
I could. I should ask him.
You should ask.
I'll
'cause
email
I'm
him
curious
back.
now. He's a fantastic artist. I gotta, out of the relaunch of the X-Men stuff, I get X-Men, the main title. I'm a huge Linnell Francis Yu fan. That's Hickman writing the main one, isn't it? Yeah, Jonathan Hickman's writing it. Great stuff. So I buy that one. They did a New Mutants, Marauders. They did a bunch of them.
All decent. All really decent.
And I was looking at the Marauders stuff because Dennis showed me that page, and that is from an art standpoint, that is some fantastic looking work. It's nice, it's clean, great storytelling, the characters look on model. He does some really nice stuff.
Yep. So anyway, just wanted to kind of give a shout out. I'll email him back. He did respond to me and just say how much he appreciated for he was being nice. Somebody who's as old as me, who's seeing this many pages, for me to pick out his page was an honor. And really, for me, it is just one of the nicest looking pages I've ever seen. Just hands down, my two favorite things rolled into one page. It just doesn't get any better.
God, if you could just get your wife to dye her hair red.
And if I bought a Trans Am.
Dye her hair red, Trans Am, and little cosplay.
A lot of what ifs in this scenario.
Like Marvel, a lot of what ifs.
Yep.
That'll probably never come to fruition.
Yep. So yeah, that was fun. The car segment was a good one. But this week we decided, we had mentioned it earlier, we saw Uncut Gems.
Adam Sandler takes a turn in a dramatic role. I saw the previews for this, I believe going back, it came out in December. I remember seeing previews for it in late October, November last year.
Yep.
Thinking, I gotta see this. This is Adam Sandler in a straight up drama. I know he's been in a couple before, but this looked
different. It was different.
It wasn't dark.
Right.
But just the way it was shot.
Because we remember when we first saw it, and I'm like, that looks like a really serious movie. It was at like one of the trailers, and after the movie we were talking about, we might have to see that. He's like, that looks different. And it didn't jump out and say, wow, you need to rush out day opening to see it. But it just caught our eye. I wonder if it's any good. So we finally had seen it.
It's, what happened was we never got a chance to see it in the theaters because it came out right around Christmas, which I gotta admit, I've said it before if you know me, I love going to see movies, but Christmas time is Thanksgiving and Christmas, that whole gap, season is my favorite season of the year. I don't see movies on Thanksgiving Day. I don't see movies on Christmas Day. It's just, when I grew up in the 70s and 80s, I just have a memory of everything shutting down. And I just love that. I'm a workaholic, but on Thanksgiving and Christmas, those are the 2 days that I can justify sitting my ass on a couch, watching TV, reading a book, doing something with the family at the house, and not feel guilty for not working. And that movie came out around Christmas time, and there were other things that came out that I put above it to go see in the theater, and then it was gone. It didn't stay out that long.
Nope. I managed to see it because I mentioned it to my wife, and my daughter were there, and I'm like, hey, Uncut Gems. Andy and I were talking that we kind of need to see this. It doesn't look like our schedules are going to fit to do it. So I'm like, I think let's go. Let's the three of us go. And they were like, really?
Oh, so your daughter went and saw it too?
Yeah, so there were three of us that saw it. Well, the one thing, so it was a good movie.
Oh, it's a good movie.
It was a loud movie. There is a lot of shouting. The thing that my family took away immediately, Adam Sandler, and he's married to Idina Menzel, which we all know from Frozen, and it's good. I mean, and then he's got a girlfriend on the side and stuff like that. So it's an interesting thing. But he's trying to make something of himself. He's got money, and they wind up having to he knows somebody, I think it's in Africa.
I want to say it's in Africa, because the movie starts off with, I'm pretty sure it's in Africa, and they do say, but my mind is just, stuff goes in. I don't retain much. I want to say it's in Africa. Anyhow, it's a mine, and there's digging, and there's this big chunk of rock they cut out that has these beautiful gems in it. And, to get it going, they ship it off to Sandler because he knows somebody over there. And Adam Sandler runs basically a jewelry store. And this is what he deals in. And like Dennis said, he does have a gambling problem. He's not in the happiest of marriages. He's married to Idina Menzel's character, who every time she came on screen, I was just waiting to hear, "Do you want to build a snowman?" or cut some diamonds. And he has the girl on the side, whatever. But it was loud. I got to say, that movie. It was the characterization of the characters in the movie. I don't know if they were going stereotypical with it or not, but there was just a lot of loud voices, and not even yelling, just the way they talked.
I would assume that they went kind of characterization. No, I'm not Jewish, but it's brought up a lot in this movie because it's in the middle of basically his community. And, you trying to be a big shot in the community, but they have a certain way that they do things, and you don't want to cross the community. He's a gambler.
Oh, he's
got
a big gambler.
A huge gambling problem. And he gets this really cool gem from the guy that he knows over in Africa. He sends it. He thinks it's going to be worth tons of money. And he immediately tries to sell it to Kevin Garnett.
Right. Kevin Garnett plays himself in the movie.
Which is awesome because, and he plays a pretty intricate part of the movie throughout.
And, people say, oh, he's playing himself. How hard an acting job is that? It's still acting from the standpoint of he's given a script. It's not just, oh, Kevin, just go in and just say whatever you want.
You're not slam dunking a basketball. Right. You actually have to read lines.
He did a good job. I thought acting-wise, I didn't think like, oh, get this guy off the screen. He's just messing up the movie. I thought he did a pretty good job. He interacted well with Sandler, and then of course Garnett has his crew with him and stuff, his entourage, which were all obviously real actors and stuff. So I thought he did a decent job for the bits he was in the movie.
Yep, but he played an important role, and. But there's a lot of yelling. Oh, you need to do this. You need to follow through. You need to get this. No, don't leave. And it's just yelling and yelling and yelling, which in the movie, it fit. I mean, it's just like you can tell it's his personality and it just builds and builds. But that's the one thing my family took away was I got a headache after this movie because it was so loud and yelling. But the storyline was intriguing. It's a very basic, simple script. But it's done with such emotion and intensity, I didn't really lose interest in it like I thought I would. Because that is not a typical cup of tea that I would say, yeah, I really like this kind of movie. But it was well done.
You get invested with Adam Sandler's character because, I mean, he digs his own hole.
He's a screw-up.
He's a screw-up. He digs his own hole because of the gambling problems. And he digs himself a big hole, in particular with, what you call the other dude? The bookie?
Yeah, call him the bookie. Most people
that was related to him.
Yes.
Yeah, so his bookie's related to him. I mean, they run into each other at a family gathering, which Judd Hirsch has a small part, and he's a
great to see him again.
Yeah, he's not doing enough. But basically, he just digs his own hole, and he has to get out of it. And this is definitely one we're just giving the plot points away that you can see in the trailer. Not going to give any spoilers away on it. I'll say it again. He digs himself a pretty pretty good size hole to get out of, and it is on Netflix. That's how I saw it. So if you have Netflix, boom, you can.
So the whole movie is him trying to, okay, if I get this big score, I'm good. If I
it's all about getting the next score.
It's got to, and and I can do this, man. I know it, and it all boils down to the basketball game that Kevin Garnett's in.
And Kevin looks at this big uncut gem as a good luck charm.
Right. So he's trying to buy it.
Right. And, Sandler has a price in his mind of what he thinks it should go for, which, if he would have told me, it would have seemed legit. But then when you see what it ends up going for and how that all shakes out, because it's at an auction, needless to say, I don't think this is a big surprise. It doesn't play out the way Adam Sandler's character thinks it should. So then he has to do some more maneuvering and machinations to try and, dig himself out of this hole. It's just, if you like Adam Sandler and if you see him as a one note, he can only do comedies type, you should watch this movie, because I thought he turned in, I really thought he turned in a performance that he might have at least been nominated for awards for. Not necessarily won, because this past year's award season had a ton of great actors for lead actor.
Yep.
But you could see it at one of the award shows, maybe not the Oscars, but at the Globes or Screen Actors Guild. Somebody, at least the Screen, what's the one? It's not the People's Choice. Maybe if the movie got more play, could have seen him maybe getting a nod.
The SAG Awards.
Well, that's Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah.
What's the one that is voted on by the peers, though? Because there's Screen Actors Guild. Is it the Screen Actors Guild? I don't know. But you'd think his peers would be like, man, he really stepped out of his comfort zone on this one.
And that's what I took away from it, was I was like, Adam Sandler, again, everybody, Waterboy, Happy Gilmore, Big Daddy. I mean, these are all really good movies, and they're very Adam Sandler-like.
Yeah.
And for him to do this, it was just a complete role reversal. I loved it. I thought it was a really solid movie all the way through. We got, for those of us that are Guardians of the Galaxy fan, Pom Clementif. She makes a little appearance in there, but you won't recognize her most likely, because from Guardians of the Galaxy, we always see her with the antenna and everything.
Wait, who's she? She was in this movie?
Yeah.
What?
Yep. Yeah.
Really?
She plays Alexa. She plays Lexus. And
Wait, Lexus is who? What? Okay, so she plays. It's not going to be a spoiler. Who's Lexus in the movie? Again, I tell you guys, my brain is just. I see a movie, and then if I don't talk about it, like as soon as
so there's multiple families, so she's just tied into one of them. So it's awesome.
I totally missed her.
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy. Now I want to go back and watch it again.
Yep. So
anyway, the ending is awesome.
That's
all
the
I'll
big
say.
one. Yeah, and this is, we're not going to spoil. It's not what you'd expect, and it was whoa.
Yeah, it was definitely just did not see that coming, but very, it definitely tied everything up in a bow.
Yep.
We'll just say that.
Yep. So on our rating, what would you give it, Andy?
Oh man, I raved the crap out of it, but I don't know if I'd go 8. I'd probably go like a 7, 8, just because I really did enjoy it, but I can't be the 8 point and up guy for everything, and I feel like the past few movies, everything I've given it's an 8 something. So except for Green Lantern. I'm going to go 7.8. Yeah, Green Lantern, I'll be honest, I give it a 10. But no, I don't give Green Lantern a 10. I'll probably go like a 7.8, which is really, it's 2.2 away from 8. So
yeah, I liked a lot about the movie. I liked Adam Sandler being out of his comfort zone. Kevin Garnett did a good job. The story was good. I would give it a 7. Although the ending made the movie. It really did.
Ending, it's worth it for the ending.
Yes.
It's totally worth it.
Yep.
Would you say that jewelry store, Adam Sandler, owns a jewelry store, but it's the type that you have to be buzzed into because of, it's not a K Jewelers.
Right.
You have to be buzzed into it. But I mean, it's not like a back alley jewelry store. It's just it's a high-end.
Yeah, I think you go up I think it's up on second floor because I think they come up for it, and then you have to get buzzed in.
You have to be buzzed in, and then you enter this other smallish area where you have to be buzzed in again.
Yep.
So there's a couple layers of security to get into his jewelry store, and he has a few people working on it. He has a gem master or whatever.
And the interaction between the different characters in there is pretty interesting throughout the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And, you get a feeling of it. So all in all, like I said, 7.0, I think it's worth a watch. Just leave your thoughts on what you guys thought, if you liked it or not, or what you did. Like I said, my family thought it was a little too loud. They gave them headaches, but I thought it was a very well done movie. Just not what I was expecting from Adam Sandler, so kudos.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. All right, that's it for this week. We will catch you guys next week. Thanks for listening.
We'll catch you later. Bye-bye.
Until next week, grab your 3D glasses.
Get your favorite comic books, roll them up, and put them in your back pocket the way you should treat comics.
Throw your pigskin up on the mantle. This is Dennis.
This is Andy. Later, friends.